So, hello people, thank you for watching me. I'm back. Today's Saturday. I'm recording this seminar once again for my video audiences, and there's nobody in here in the room with me, just me and the microphone. Anyway, so today I'm going to continue the topic that I started at the last seminar, which is how I teach English. And today I will try to be slightly more practical and share some of my materials that I use in my classroom with my students. Actually, they will be available to you if you just drop me a line requesting for them. I will send them to you. I mean, not all of the materials, but the ones that I'm going to talk about in this seminar. And I'm going to show to you some of them now, and I will explain just how I work with them and what I do and why. So it will be slightly more practical, but again, it's a lecture, not a training. So it is very much up to you to decide what you're gonna do, how you're gonna do it, to practice that, again, to experiment, to take risks, and enjoy the process of discovering ways to teach English effectively to different people and in a variety of contexts. So, once again, I teach English my way, in a way, the way I learned it myself. The way I will start to teach, well, maybe like 10%, not more, and not because I learned to teach English in this way, but not because it's the best or the only or the right way. Well, there are millions of other ways, but just because I like it. I like it this way, I believe in it, and I engage my students in the process. They believe me, they follow me, and those who stick around for long enough, they may have the benefit, they may reap what they sowed. So, anyway, I believe that we have certain goals as we're teaching English to our students. We have certain goals that we always try to achieve. And goal number 0 is to give knowledge. To make sure that students know something that they didn't know before. It is especially important for elementaries, for people who are starting to study the language, who used to study it but they have forgotten. So they need knowledge because they don't know lots of words that they need, or they have a mess in their head, they don't know what to say, how to say it. So lots of people need knowledge, and we have to give them knowledge. But I consider it to be a goal number 0, because goal number 1 is to achieve accuracy. I mean, after I've given them certain knowledge and made sure that they have order in their head, I have to make sure that they can use this knowledge accurately, without mistakes, or of course with mistakes, but they'll be aware of these mistakes, they'll be able to correct themselves. These mistakes won't be frequent, and they will happen only when they're distracted, when they're not focused on what they're saying, how they're saying it, so they're too caught up in the moment and they're being emotional and everything. So they make these mistakes. So I have to make sure that students make as few mistakes as possible using the material that I have taught them. Like I have already shared with you at the previous seminar, it is possible many months down the road. So when you're teaching present continuous first time for your elementary students, very often you will find yourself in a situation when they're doing like translation or some kind of controlled practice activities, they will not make many mistakes. But when you put them in some communicative contexts, or when you put all the language that they know together, they will have a mess and start making certain mistakes. So mistakes are unavoidable, and it's only several months later that we will achieve this. I use present continuous without mistakes kind of state. We will achieve that, but possible. But anyway, accuracy. Accuracy is the foundation of everything. That's why I love drills. I do a lot of drills. I do them to make sure that the students are familiar with what they should feel like. What they should feel like in their bones and their muscles when they say that. So to make sure that they develop this mechanical memory of their muscles. So we do a lot of drills, a lot of repetition with my students, and of course I later give them more practice. But again, when I give them practice, I always make sure that they have a certain standard, certain example, whether it's a rule or a phrase or a structure, that they have to fit in, that they have to live up to, that they have to meet. So this standard should always be there. And they should do their best to, they modify themselves, they change themselves and make sure that they're different and they can fit in this tight structure that I have given them, because they always tend to go beyond and make mistakes. And I say, guys, go back, just look, this is the way, just follow the example, read as it's written. And so I always provide this example and I make sure that they can read it, repeat it, modify it slightly on the basis of what I give them and everything. So then of course I revise, I do it together with, I practice the same material together with other material. So I'm repeating myself, I'm aware of that. But accuracy is extremely important, and it's impossible without discipline. I mean, when you want to achieve this goal of accuracy for your students, it's not enough just to do exercises. No, you have to put your students under pressure. You have to constantly make them say things the right way. All the time, I don't know, you may argue with that and may be right, but I correct my students' mistakes all the time. All the time. I stop and say, like, listen to what you've said, correct it, and we work out the right way together. But I hate mistakes, so I'm always there. So it's not about activities that I'm going to share with you. It's about your involvement. It's about your participation. You're there. You care. Your eyes are flashing and burning with desire, with desperation, with you desperately want them to succeed in that. So you just really work and you make them say the right things the right way. You stop them. You bring their you point you bring it to their attention that they've done something wrong, so on and so forth. So it's about your active involvement, active work. Not just like, guys, okay, let's do this, okay, but really, really orchestrating the whole thing. So accuracy. After that comes, of course, fluency, which is impossible if you don't give your students freedom, if you don't make sure that their mind is not focused on the language, but on the communication, on emotions, on ideas, on people. So you have to make sure, you have to distract their mind from producing the language, and make sure that still their body is capable of saying it the right way. So if your students are slow, then you have to again put them under pressure and make them and encourage them to say things quickly, put them under the time pressure, or again distract them by giving their minds from the language, by giving them a communicative kind of activity in which they have to solve certain problems and be accurate in the way they use the language. And fluency is impossible without dealing with this fundamental, one of the greatest problems that I have found in my students' heads and their experiences. Some of them are too much preoccupied with the details, with the words and their meanings, and they see the language as just a combination of words. And they have to read every single word, focus their attention on every single word, work out the meaning of every single word, and then translate into Russian, and then work out the meaning of the whole thing. These students find it extremely, I believe you know such people, you have some students like that who are incapable of processing fast speech, or even speeches like by native speakers, which are delivered at a moderate pace. So they find it difficult to understand what they're being said, what they're being told. I mean, and because they're always visualizing everything, they have to see what they're saying. They have to visualize it, and they process it word for word for word for word, and it makes it impossible for them to be fluent because they can't process the language. They are too preoccupied. They're on the level of details of words, and they forget that this is absolutely unnatural. This is not the way we see and perceive of this world. No, we don't go from specific to general in our real life communication. No, we go the other way around. We first understand the context, feel the main idea. We understand it as a whole, based on our experience, because we all have same experiences, and that's why we can understand the people, even though they didn't say much, even though they didn't say some words that they had to say, they made mistakes. We still understand them because they use the key words, and we have the experience in us that help us, the experience that helps us guess what these people are talking about. So we go from general to the specific, to the details. We may not be aware of everything we're saying, of every single word we're saying. We're focused on a general idea, and the body just produces the language. So the goal, for these people to achieve fluency, you have to tackle the problem of switching their mind from the words and translation and working out the links between the words and the meaning of these links based on the translation. You have to switch their mind from that process to looking at a broader picture on the whole text, the whole idea, context, and working out the links between the words they don't know, and the general context, the general idea. So basically you have to teach them to guess and to fill out the gaps of knowledge, that like they didn't hear something, but they have to somehow be able to work out what was said in that part where they didn't hear it, based on what was said before, based on the whole idea of the conversation, of the speech. So you have to make sure that they just take off and fly somewhere high above the earth, and just look down and see the whole big mountain ranges below, not just little specks on the ground. And it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of time. And on the one hand, the way this problem can be tackled is when you work together as a doctor. You work with your student and make sure that the person is thinking about the right things when dealing with the text that he or she doesn't quite understand. So it's like, oh my God, if I don't translate this text, I will not understand it. And you have to discourage this person from translating the text because this is not going to help. This is not going to work. If your fluency, if your understanding depends on translation, it will always be slow. You will never be fluent, and you will not be a good speaker of a language. You have to think in English. You shouldn't translate. But they can't think in the right way. So you have to be there and ask them the right questions to guide their thinking in a certain way, to discourage them from working out the meaning of every single word and putting it all together, but rather than encouraging them to feel, to guess, to somehow work out the meaning of the whole thing without going into much detail. So if you just understand the whole idea, the whole principle, and try to do something with some of these students with these problems, you will see how things work and what should be done, what can be helpful. But you can try to help them in this focused way, dealing with the problem. But there's a second, equally important and equally effective way of dealing with this problem of, and achieving this goal of switching their mind from specific details to general picture. And it's I don't know, the right word for it. It's extensive practice. Let me put it this way: extensive practice. So Some of these students may like start reading a book and they will, an English book, and they will stop at every word they don't know and look it up in dictionary and put it down in their vocabulary, try to learn it. And reading a 30-page book will take them a month, whatever. It could take them a week, but since, well, you understand, yeah? So they really make the whole process less enjoyable, definitely less enjoyable, and just extremely slow. And what they should do is just keep on going. If you're reading a book, you don't understand the word, but you understand the whole idea, you follow the events, you just keep on going. You don't stop. You continue getting this experience of reading and understanding, reading and understanding. So you have to, on the one hand, choose the book that is slightly above your level of comfort. On the other hand, it shouldn't be too complicated, so you have to be able to understand what you're reading about. But don't stop, enjoy. Keep on reading, keep on reading. What you will find is, just because your mind is not focused on the words, but it's focused on the pictures in the book. I mean, I don't mean the illustrations, I mean the story. Then you will, and because certain words are repeated several times throughout the book, you will get to feel what some of them mean, because you have already met, by the end of the book, you have already met them in a variety of contexts, and your body has started to feel, okay, I think it's a kind of eating, this word munching. I think it is about eating. I don't know exactly, but okay, it's enough. It's enough. I associate the word munch with the kind of eating. And I don't know the translation, the Russian translation for it, but I kind of feel it. And it's great. This is the experience that everyone should have. It's only today that I have realized that, oh my God, I have learned a lot, I don't know how much, 50% of the words that I know, but thousands of words, never looking them up in a dictionary, ever. Like, I know what it means because I have met it in a variety of contexts, and I just understood it right there from the text because it was evident, it was clear that it means this, and it was enough for me. And of course, being a Russian native speaker, I didn't find it a big problem to come up with the Russian equivalent, but again, it was again from my own head, not from a dictionary. So my English words are connected to pictures, to certain contexts in which I met them. That's why it's easier for me to retrieve them from my memory. I'm not dependent, I'm not reliant on Russian translation. So that's why I can be fluent. So once again, extensive practice. So like extensive reading, understanding and enjoying, but not focusing on the words. It can be the same with listening. It's harder, but still listen, keep on listening. You don't understand, keep on going. You may sometimes occasionally stop and look it up and learn something and do the intensive analysis of what you've just done, what you've just read. But just keep on enjoying the whole thing. Enjoy the ride. And so if you do these two things, if you make sure that if you work with your students, standing there right